All right, young people, this is the video that I promised about talking about domain and range. Domain is nothing but all the possible input values, which is in this case will be all the x values. And the range is all the possible output values, which will mostly be the y values. And this is a rule of thumb that you could take for the rest of your mathematical career. Now let's talk about finding the domain and range. Let's look at parts A and B. As you notice with parts A and B, the functions they look very different. And I'm going to tell you the differences between these two functions. As you can see, before I get to telling you that, as you can see, one function is nothing but dots and the other one is kind of like a few lines put together with two dots at the end. With A, this is called a discrete function. Oops. This is called a discrete function. And with B, this is more or less called the continuous. And the reason why I mentioned these vocabulary is because with discrete functions, with finding the domain and range, you're going to have to work a little bit harder. So what I have to do is the following. I have to figure out with these discrete functions, in order to find the domain, I have to figure out every point. I have to figure out the coordinates for every point. What I'm trying to do is find the dotted lines. That would have definitely helped me out a lot. Well, King Crow spilled milk. All right. So I can start anywhere. I'm going to go here and I'm going to start anywhere that I choose. But my starting point always has to be at the origin, which is that green dot I just drew. The origin is the place where both the y-axis and the x-axis cross. That's always the origin. Every time you work with a graph, always look for the origin. Now, I'm going to go from here. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. Because I want you guys to get the order of finding the points. I'm going to go to my far left. I'm going to choose a different color. I'm going to go to my far left. When I go to my far left from the green dot, I went -1, -2, -3. And then I went down 2. This point can be labeled as -3, 2. Now, I'm going to do the same thing with the second dot. I'm going to go from this green dot to here. I went negative once. And I didn't have to go down since it was already on the x-axis. So this point is going to be -1, 0. Now, with this one, from the green dot, I go right one time, and then I go up 2. So this is 1, 2. Oops. Now, again, starting from the origin, I went right 3 times, and then I went up 4 times. So I have 3, 4. To find the domain, I'm gonna list all of my numbers to the left, and this is one of the reasons why I associated that when it came to looking at the inputs when we had coordinates. So this kind of comes full circle. -3, -1. And I'm going from left to right. My leftmost number is going to be right here. Then we got it here. Then we have it here. 1. And then we have it here. 3. Then I'm going to get my range. And I'm going to give the right number that follows them all. -3. With -3, I had 2. With -1, I had 0. With 1, I had 2. And I forgot to put the negative right here. My apologies. You see, even for me, for somebody who done this for years, I still forget about my negative sign. And then I have 4. That goes with 3. So let me go ahead and correct that right here. Because I said I went down 2, but I forgot to put the sign that match. So that's how you find the domain and range for discrete functions. Now with continuous functions, you can use the method that I wanted to really teach. And I'm going to do that by drawing a rectangle. You see this endpoint right here? I'm going to pretty much draw a horizontal line from here all the way to here. And if you notice, where my line ends, it hovers against the dot. Hover against the dot that's up here. And then I'm going to draw a line going in the opposite direction. I'm setting up a rectangle. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is start from the origin. And I'm going to make this a different color. Maybe not that one. And then I'm going to count to the right. 1, 2, 3. 3. Then I'm going to count to the left from the origin. 1, 2. I'm not going to forget my negative sign right now. So right now, we just found our domain. Our domain. And what you could do, an easier way to write domain is to do capital D. And you can put colon, bracket, -2, comma 3. And the reason why I could do that is because of those dots at the end. If I didn't have dots at the end, it would have been parentheses. And this is a more high school notation that I want you guys to start getting used to rather than waiting until you get into another class. Now, what I'm going to do, as you see with my plum looking lines, I'm going to close them off like this and get my rectangle. Now, the counting is going to be different. I'm going to go to the origin and then I'm going to count 1, 2. So I got 2 right here. Then I'm going to count downwards. 1. So my range is going to be from, and due to the fact that we had the dots at the end, I can also put it in the bracket form. So my lowest is -1. And my highest is +2. So that's my domain and range. That's a more simplified way of writing domain and range. And I would prefer that you write it like that. You can do it the way that I did it for part A. That's fine and dandy. You got to do what works for you, what you can understand. Now we got our answers. And we can check with the answer key. Since we had a discrete function, we wrote out the ordered pairs. And with the domain and range, the way they did it in the book is very similar to how I did it. I just chose to do it the rectangle way. And they basically drew a rectangle themselves. What happened is they said, hey, let's look at the endpoints and we're going to go straight down from those endpoints. And then what they also did was they went straight to the right from the endpoints. They went down and right. You can also do it that way to find the domain and range. Honestly, I like this way a lot better than my way. And I'm going to use their way when it comes to the next problem. Whew. So I'm going to go ahead and do these two problems. And what I like about these two problems is I can take advantage of symmetry. Whenever we have symmetry, it allows us to do half of the work. So let's go ahead and label our first and very blatant coordinate right here. This is on the origin. Automatically, this is 0, 0. I can either work on the left side or the right side. I'm going to work on the left side since it's a bit more difficult. So from the origin, I'm going left once and up twice. So my point is going to be -1, 2. Then I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go left twice and up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is -2, 4. Since this is symmetrical about the y-axis, oops, let me do this in a different color. This is my OCD kicking in. Since this is symmetrical about the y-axis, any number to the left will change. This means that besides -2, 4, I'm going to have 2, 4. I'm just changing the number on the left to its opposite. So from -1, 2, it's just going to be 1, 2. And our domain will include the following numbers. Oops. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Then our range will be the y values or the numbers to the right that complement. So this is going to be 4, 2, 0, 1, 2. There you go. That's our domain and range. Now I'm going to use the method that the book did for number 10. So now I'm at these points right here. And technically there is a third more latent point on the bottom because it's on the bottom of the thing. And as you guys get more into the math, this is called the vertex. You should have learned about the vertex in this class this year. So right here, I'm going to draw a line going straight down. Due to the fact that we have this closed dot, we can say from 0, we go to 1. Our domain starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and ends at 5. So for this problem, the domain is going to be inclusive of 1 all the way to 5. Now, to find the range, I'm going to go from the topmost to the bottommost. That's the topmost, and this is the bottommost. The bottommost is on the same line with 0, and the topmost is on the same line with 4. So our range is going to go from 0 to 4. And that's how that works. Domain and range, all in a nutshell.